When I started skating with O'Neill and Ricardo and Leon, Clark every now and then when he would visit the city, and Ian, O'Neill was capturing clips for Bustin' Boards in order to post on social media. That's when I finally got inspired and I was like, I want to be a part of this. Screw it. I'm going to do what Kelvin taught me. I'm going to go at it, just try to post. And I started tagging Bustin' Boards just by like taking photos of the boards I was riding, taking photos of Ricky every now and then, getting clips of O'Neill when I was following him on his journeys through the city, and I would just tag along with them and basically like post behind the scene footage. I wanted to be just like all of them. It was just part of my content grind. Honestly, when I look back at some of the things I used to post, it was very cringeworthy. But hey, you know, everyone has those cringe moments, especially when you look back on things when you were young. I'm like, what was I talking about? Why am I being like that? But I guess I was just being myself, like Calvin told me. After a couple of years of having the Mini Maestro under my feet, I begged my mom year after year to get me a new Bustin' board. And the one I really wanted to try was the one Ricky was riding, because I really liked trying his board. It was a Bustin' board Shrike. It was just the best board they had that had a lot of diversity in what you can do with it. You could dance on it if you'd like. You could do freestyle tricks. You could do grab tricks. You could downhill skate that board. You could push that board, no problem. Great for carving. Had tails. I wanted that board 100%. And finally, I think it was for Christmas, my mother bought me that board, and I was super stoked. And that's when I really started filming Ricky for practice. He allowed me to. He wanted to get sponsored. He was the one. He was like, I've been skating for a very long time. I'm a very talented skater and I want to get sponsored. And I was like, well, if you're trying to get sponsored, would you allow me to try to get like a skate park for you? And he was like, sure. And for years and years, I was just filming with him, trying to like make this perfect skate park video as like a Bustin' board introduction to who Ricardo Rivera was as a skater. But we were just showing what he could do on a board, period. Ricardo was a very talented skater, and he started inspiring me to do tricks, but I was super afraid to even try any tricks. It took me, I think, like 3 years to get my first ollie. That's when I finally made my first video of Ricky. We were super stoked about it. I think I did get some really good clips at the time, but that video had a lot of its flaws. It started out with Ricardo like failing to do all his tricks, and that was like the storytelling part of it, just showing the conflict between skating and like getting the clip for the video. I wanted to show sort of his character, and I remember when we first started filming it, Ricky could never keep a straight face when I told him, I want to get a clip of you looking off into the New York skyline, and I need you to have a straight face. And it took like so many takes for us to even get it. He just kept laughing, and eventually he finally had one take where he had this straight face, but eventually he looked at the camera, he smiled, and I was like, perfect, that's perfect. After that video, we posted it, and after a couple weeks, I knew I wanted to make a new video for him. And it took a very long time, but I was collecting a lot of clips of Ricky and his highlights. At the time in 2019, when it came to the shots, I was really getting creative with it. I wanted to involve everybody in the crew into the video. And I was really messing around with film techniques, trying to like make the viewer interested in what's going on and go on like a visual journey. And that's why a lot of the shots, it actually wasn't just a stable shot. It was more of me messing around and moving the camera around. We really wanted to get Bustin' Boards to send Ricky a deck because his tails were super burnt out, but they really didn't want to. But it did really demotivate Ricky. We kept on making clips for a very long time, and I always reminded him, like, it doesn't matter what they think, just keep at it. We're doing a great job. And I really did want to keep filming him at the end of the day. I think they already had an idea of who they wanted to represent Bustin', and they already had enough writers, and that's why Ricky really was denied. I don't think it was anything personal, and that's why they would still post him. Plus, O'Neill had some say in part on who was posted on the story segments, considering he was getting paid. So Ricky would always make a cameo. But once Bustin sort of denied me and Ricky's work, we were just like, all right, we're sort of done trying to get sponsored by Bustin and be a part of that. After all, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we knew we still wanted to skate, and I knew I still wanted to skate. I wanted to try a different board entirely, so I ended up buying myself a timber board Tortini. In 2020, I was rocking that one. It was my first 43-inch board, the biggest board I ever had. And since I was always hanging out with the Bustin' crew, and Ian really stood out to me when it came to dancing, I told myself I want to learn dance tricks, and that's why I got that board. I would go to 383 on Knickerbocker Avenue. It was a schoolyard behind the Burger King on Knickerbocker Avenue. That's when I started practicing a lot during the pandemic. I eventually made my first segment video there at 383, and it was just me practicing for the first time. It was like my official, like, guess what? I'm making segments of me practicing. And the reason why I want to do this is to record and document my progress. I wanted to see my mistakes. I wanted to see my mess ups. I wanted to see my growth. How high can I pop? How many steps can I take on a Peter Pan? And I was messing around with a lot of grab tricks at the time, which O'Neill actually taught me a lot of the grab tricks I knew. And a lot of others in the community when we were going to like Central Park and stuff. Like people, there was a scene for grab tricks. I knew I wanted to be one of the best grab trick skaters in the city. Like that was my inspiration. And so on my second segment video, at the end of that second segment video, I ended up getting hurt trying to do a heel flip for the first time. And I think I landed that one. But unfortunately, when I tried to get a cleaner version of the heel flip, I didn't know how to level out correctly, and my board went straight into my tailbone. I ended up getting a fracture from that. It hurt a lot. It took me a couple months to heal from that, and every time I would walk, I would feel this pain on my tailbone. And I think I was out of commission to like skating for just a month, but it took, I think, like 5 months to actually heal from that. That fracture was pretty gnarly. I couldn't sit on chairs well.